Okay guys, just got back from using the miter saw. Hopefully you got some little tips along the way with that time-lapse video. So, a couple of things that you might not have seen that I was doing in the video right here. It's very similar to when we laid out for our foundation pieces. I went around and I marked out where these pieces went. So I went over with a pen just to show you here. So my first foundation section went right here. And I don't know if you can see on the right and on the left, I marked out where those ends there. I didn't do the whole length, it's not necessary. Just the two edges I marked out with a pencil. So I put on here and then I marked over on either side where that laid. Okay. I then moved to this section over here and I did the same thing. You can see right here, I marked it on the left and on the right. Okay, made a little pencil mark. Now what that enabled me to do was I was able to get my other piece and I was able to line it up on those lines and get a measurement that way. Now I'm doing it where I'm cutting all my pieces first. If you're installing these as you cut them, then this really isn't necessary. But I like to do like a complete cut list like this and then install them all at once, okay? But I basically went all the way around, very similar to how I did my foundation, okay? So, but this time, remember, we're not installing them flat. These are stood upright like this. So this thin section right here should be faced up, okay? And I basically just went around the whole perimeter of my floor plan. And I started measuring and cutting these. Now you saw in the video I have access to a miter saw, so I'm going to use my miter saw to create a little bit more of an accurate cut with it. I don't know if you noticed in the video as well, when it came to doing these smaller pieces I used longer boards, okay? You should never be using a tiny board like this to cut little sections out of it. If you have the piece, use a longer board for it, okay? And I had to think a couple of times how I wanted this to go. I don't know if you remember how we did the foundation. We sandwiched the pieces together. That's how, at least how I did it. And I kind of wanted that same concept with this. So it took me a couple of tries to kind of figure out in my head how I wanted this. But I ended up doing kind of these two. Then I got these two sections cut. And then this one at the end right here, okay? Now, this whole concept here, all of these pieces are flush with the very outside of the project. These inside ones here, these corners, they're all flush with the outside of my project. And they don't overhang either. So you can see how they all create these nice 90-degree angles when I'm doing this. And we want this little lip all the way around our project. Okay, so you can see this little lip around here. And the reason we want that lip is because that's where our joists are going to lie when we do our foundation. So lastly, one area that you do not have to do this on is the beam. Okay, the beam at this stage is finished. You don't have to do anything with it. We're just doing the perimeter, just like we did with the foundation. Okay, so this is essentially like the foundation, but just with this material that we're using now, okay? So I'm going to jump to another time-lapse video, guys, and I'm going to start installing these with my glue gun. So that's the next stage, is installation and fixing all these in place. And then once it's all done, I'll do a little view of it so you guys can get a close-up and see how it all went together, okay? So stay tuned for those next couple of videos.